Hey friends, for this week's challenge we're going to talk about using a high line. This is one of my favorite tools, and it's just fantastic for getting mules to kind of learn how to stand still and learn some patience, and it gives them some other skills too. So let's talk about it a little bit. Um, you know, the problem with tying a mule to a hitching rail or a post or the side of your trailer or in your barn or something is that they don't have freedom of movement. You need to give the mule the freedom to go so they make the choice to stay, and that's a piece that a lot of people miss out on. So the cool thing about a high line is, you got it set up. I like it 8 to 10 feet. 10 feet if you can get it there, but at least 8 feet in the air. And when those mules feel the need to move, well, they can go. And it gives them that freedom to move a little bit. So you're not constricting them, making them stay there. That's where a lot of people kind of get messed up on, is they want to force the mule to do something. And by forcing the mule to do something, you don't teach it anything. So you need to give it that freedom to go. So the cool thing, this mule that wants to move around and walk, well, it can walk. And when it steps under the high line, that lead rope picks up on them and kind of picks them up, pulls them to one side or the other, and they learn how to roll the hinds away. And if you guys have been following along with all these challenges, whether that's a pretty valuable move to know. So they learn how to do that. And, they don't pick up pawing. They don't pick it up very quick if you use this high line. I'm not saying they're not going to paw at the high line, because I've seen so many paw for sure. But usually the ones that paw at the high line are the ones that already know how to paw, kind of. So this is just one of my favorite tools. I'd encourage you to build one, find a way to put one up, and tie your mule up on it, a half hour or an hour after you ride every day, and just let them kind of soak and let them think on that thing. That'll be real good for you. And you'll notice some changes. They will, the pawing will fade away over time. The pawing in the trailer fades away. The Highline is just such a good tool. So anyways, I put a couple clips in this video so you can see what it looks like with mules on it. And then I also did a clip showing you how to tie the high line. So anyways, hope you enjoyed this. All right, so here's a little clip of my mules and my father-in-law's mules tied up here. This is our high line. Last week we did a week-long trip. And these mules stood there pretty good, did well. You can, if I change anything, it'd be a little bit more spacing and a little higher high line. Other than that, it's looking pretty good. All right, I'm going to show you how to put this high line together. I got it a little lower here so you can see the knots I'm using and how I'm going about doing this. But I like to use a tree saver on both ends. I'll show you on one end today. But this is handy. It'll save your rope a lot. Also, it's a little better if you're using this on trees. That's why it's called a tree saver. It doesn't cut as sharp as the rope does. But I like to keep my ropes longevity. So anyways, I'll put a tree saver. Pretend this is a tree, whatever. It's just a post here. Okay. Then I will do a bowline knot. So most of you probably know how to do a bowline knot, but anyways, you just run one end through, and this is the only time I'm going to work with the end of the rope for a high line. Everything else will be using the middle of the rope, but just put a half hitch in it, put a turn in it like this, go down through the hole, go around the rope, under the rope and back up through the hole. And that's a bowline I use. There's different variations of that, but that's not going anywhere. I've never had any trouble with this. This will last for a long time. So anyways, then I'd put my swivels on. There's lots of different ways you can do this, but I like to use these metal swivels. They're super easy. You can use different, like parachute cord, and do a prusik knot and stuff, but these are my preference. Super easy. You just put a loop through, go around the back side of it, and this is how I tie all my swivels on my high lines. Just as simple as that. It ain't going nowhere. And especially when you get it tight. I've never had any trouble with this. And you'll notice this one swivels here, so if the mule moves around, it doesn't get too tied up. Then I'll come down here. This next one, this one's solid. And you can also use these to tie on, but I use this solid one to tie my knot here. On this end, I don't have a tree saver right here for you, but my D-ring on my trailer will do just fine to show you what I'm looking for. So at this point, you're only going to use the middle of your rope. You don't have to use the end of it at all. Okay, so there's this whole knot here is just using the middle. Anyways, you'd go through your tree saver or whatever you got, okay, and you'd kind of get it as snug as you could. Still working with the middle, I'll come back through this loop here, okay. Now you have a little bit of a pulley system going, and you can just snug it up, and you want to get your high line as tight as you possibly can, okay. Now you see I have this end still. I'll take another loop through this, okay. So now I have even more of a pulley, and I'll tighten all that down as much as I could. And then I just do a little, I'll stick another little loop through here. Hope you can see this all right. And I'll pull that one tight. That's kind of like you tie your mule up to the hitching rail right there. Then I'll put 2 half hitches over this to hold it solid so it ain't gonna go anywhere. Okay? And then you come out here and you hang on it. You know, it's gonna be up in the air, obviously. I like to put my high line up. If you can do it, get it 10 foot up in the air. That's my preferred height, 10 foot. And some folks are like, well, geez, if it's 10 foot up, how do you tie to it? Well, you throw your lead rope up and over it, and you can kind of pull it down a little bit. But before you put your animals on it, stretch it out a little bit, push on it, pull it a little bit, and then I'd come back and I'd tighten it again. But this is just how I do it. There's lots of different variations on how to tie this high line knot. I love this. I've tried all of the, I'm pretty sure I've tried all the methods of tying these up. This is my favorite. You can just get it super tight with these 3 pulley type of things you got going here. So anyways, that's how I tie the high line. And you know, trees, if you can, when you're putting it in a tree, if you can find a little crook in the tree or off of a branch so you have a little bit of stability, so if the mules kind of pull it down, it'll catch on that. That's what I'd like to do best. When you're selecting a spot, like if you're out on a pack trip or something, or even at home you're building a high line, select a spot with as little feed on the ground as you could, you know, so the mules aren't trying to reach down and eat. I don't feed on the high line. I don't water on the high line. I don't want them to roll on the high line. So anyways, there you go. That's how you put up a high line. Thank you.